Me great pleasure personally and as founder and chairman of the Arab International Women's Forum to welcome you today to our webinar titled Saudi Women's Leadership and Economic Inclusion, Driving the SDG Agenda to 2030. AIWF is proud to have enjoyed and continues to enjoy long-standing ties with the Kingdom and the many outstanding female leaders in business, academia, and in public service who serve as true role models for women everywhere. We are proud to have, as a member of our board, an exemplary Saudi Arabian woman leader, Dr. Afnan Al Shuaiby, and she's with us today, both as a distinguished guest speaker and as our valued moderator of the webinar. We're also honored to welcome, as distinguished guest speakers, Khlood Al Dukheil, President of the National Committee for Finance and Insurance, Saudi Council of Chambers, and Moudhi Al Jamea, General Manager, Digital Economy, Saudi Telecom Company Academy. We're also honored to welcome all valued participants who have joined us from the Arab region and internationally. The duration of today's session will be 6 minutes. Following the introduction, I shall invite Dr. Afnan to deliver her remarks and launch the discussion with our distinguished speakers, to be followed by Q&A. I would urge you to submit your questions during the webinar. Distinguished guests, the G20 summit held in Riyadh last month marked the first time the summit has taken place in an Arab state, a true milestone moment for the region. In line with the Kingdom's vision for 2030, Saudi Arabia's G20 presidency throughout this year was very much focused on boosting private sector development and SME support, promoting inclusive business and economic growth, scaling up infrastructure, and addressing challenges around food, water, energy security, and climate change, and the development and empowerment of women and young people as the Kingdom's most valuable and precious natural asset is human talent. Of course, the G20 summit also gave a lot of importance throughout the year on the current COVID-19 crisis. Following the program of exceptionally well-organized virtual events of the engagement groups over the course of the year, it is clear that empowering women to fully engage in the economy, public life, and in society is a core priority of the Saudi 2030 vision for a thriving economy and vibrant society that works for all citizens. With the region's largest economy focused on diversification and towards the creation of a digital, innovative, and knowledge-based economy, Saudi women are truly rising up in business in line with Vision 2030, according to a World Bank report. Also, in a recent World Bank special report on women, business, and the law 2020, which tracks how laws affect women in 190 economies, scored Saudi Arabia's economy at 70.6 points out of 100, a dramatic increase from its previous score of 31.8 points. Since 2017, Saudi Arabia has enacted historic reforms adopted by the Council of Ministers and endorsed by royal decree. These reforms were in 6 out of 8 areas measured to advance women's empowerment and participation in the economy and in society overall, including on women's mobility, harassment, retirement age, and economic activity. As the World Bank finds, and I quote, 5.5 million Saudi women over 21 years of age are already benefiting from the reforms and will continue to reap the benefits for generations to come. End of quote. Saudi women already constitute 48% of university students and an estimated 23% of the overall labor force. Data released by Pew Research Center revealed that Saudi Arabia experienced the highest growth rate among G20 countries of women joining the workforce in the past 20 years. Recent data released indicates that Saudi women working in industrial cities overseen by the Saudi Authority for Industrial Cities and Technical Zones has increased by nearly 120% to more than 17,000 employees as of March 2020. Saudi Arabia's G20 presidency has this year presented the kingdom with exciting and unprecedented opportunities to collaborate with the international business and development communities and develop innovative, viable, working policies which address worldwide economic challenges for women and young people, to reaffirm SDG commitments and strengthen the kingdom's international engagement as the region's largest economy. Today, we are especially looking forward to hearing from our distinguished guest speakers who are deeply accomplished Saudi women leaders and to learning more about key initiatives in the kingdom. Distinguished guests, before I invite Dr. Al Shuaiby to lead the discussion, I wish to take this opportunity to reiterate my warm welcome to you all, especially to the many guests of today's webinar who have attended several of our sessions since the launch of the AIWF Webinar program in July this year. And indeed, there are some of you who have attended all 9 virtual events. We thank you all for your kind support of what has been an excellent annual program for AIWF, addressing the Arab world's most critical development challenges, especially impacting women and young people. It gives me great pleasure now to invite our session moderator and distinguished guest speaker, Dr. Afnan Al Shuaiby, to deliver her remarks. Afnan, over to you.
Thank you, dear Haifa. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, it gives me great pleasure to be chairing the session today, and this is the last AIWF Webinar Series for 2020. Today's session, titled Women's Leadership and Economic Inclusion, Driving the SDG Agenda for 2030, is the final session of what has been a highly successful virtual event series for AIWF. We are most proud here in Saudi Arabia that AIWF has chosen to conclude this high-level program with a webinar on women's leadership and inclusion in the diversified, increasingly digital economy of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. The webinar comes at a perfect time with the Kingdom having concluded the highly successful G20 summit in Riyadh last month, where women and young people were at the top of the agenda for reform, economic growth, and prosperity in Saudi Arabia and all the G20 countries. In the largest economy in the region, there is a truly remarkable transformation underway to empower the one half of our talented, highly educated population who are women. There is so much momentum right now to build on the groundbreaking reforms that our leadership has introduced into the kingdom. Today, our discussions aim to advance the moment, to keep that momentum going, to shine a light on the successes of Saudi women leaders, and to examine the unprecedented opportunities now open to the next generation of Saudi leaders and businesses in sustainability and in the public service. I'm delighted to moderate the discussions today, and we're equally proud to be a board member with the AIWF. For the past 20 years, under Haifa's leadership, has done some important work in the region and globally to advance Arab human development through empowerment, education, entrepreneurship, and equality. We all look forward to the next 20 years, and I congratulate you, Haifa, and all the valued board members on the milestone anniversary, which we will all celebrate in 2021. With that, allow me to introduce our distinguished guest speakers for our session today. Khlood Al Dukheil, President of the National Committee for Finance and Insurance, Saudi National Council of Chambers, and Moudhi Al Jamea, General Manager, Digital Economy, Saudi Telecom Company, STC. Khlood Al Dukheil is an outstanding women leader and a great personal friend. She has more than 23 years of financial advisory and investment banking experience. She is currently a board member with the sorry, I got this.
Riyadh Chamber of Commerce.
The Chamber of Commerce. And I think I've got my papers messed up.
Don't worry, and I can say a few words about my involvement.
Okay, sorry, go ahead.
Okay, so thank you, Dr. Afnan, truly dear friend, and thank you, Ms. Haifa, for this honor today to speak here at the AIWF. What a wonderful platform. I am truly honored to share part of my experience and the wonderful transformation that we in Saudi Arabia, really the whole society and mainly women significantly are experiencing. A bit about the mandates or the roles that I have been honored to, I would say some fall into. I'm a classic investment banker for 23 years, involved in establishing and floating companies in the stock exchange. And the financial sector has always been, in my experience, kind of gender blind, really allows women or any person to advance based on their technical skills. So this has always been a privilege. I am also, I was honored to be appointed by the minister, myself and a dear female colleague, to be the first woman appointed on the board of the Chamber of Commerce in Riyadh, which is the oldest chamber, 60 years, that had never had women. So this has been a great honor in the past few months. And also I have been appointed in several other boards and committees, some government and non-government, representing the private sector, and being also I think a female is also a case, a point in case. Anyways, I have witnessed completely, I think I am part of the transformation of women in Saudi Arabia, and I would say that the transformation started from 2006, the planning for the transformation for women involvement, mainly in the economy and in the private sector, with King Abdullah issuing the first royal decree to establish a committee for women, which today I am the president of, to enable women to participate more in the private sector. However, the overall ecosystem of the government back then, before the current leadership and transformation plan, did not really have there wasn't a priority, I think, political will or a priority to affect the changes, and were more of soft changes, and maybe the society was not as ready as it is today. And of course, you have other things in the ecosystem which I think are a reason for the changes we are seeing, least of which is the fourth industrial revolution and the effect of technology and the way we exchange information, and therefore disseminate examples for women to share their experiences, and henceforth encourage, get the courage to participate really in the society. I have always summarized the challenge for women in Saudi Arabia to be part of the economy into three main buckets. The first bucket was the social norms and expectations on women not to really pursue careers. And it was not only enforced by the family and upbringing, but the women themselves. They were not career seekers. The second challenge or barrier I saw was the education system. It wasn't really geared towards promoting career-oriented women. There were some, for example, women were not allowed to do their training in private sector. And actually the first group of females in the kingdom did their co-op at our office in 2009. It was a program with King Saud University. Today, no student graduates, male or female, for example, from business without actually doing their international, their training. So there's significant shift in the education, whether as theory or application. And then finally, and which is I think the most important that has come with this administration, is the regulatory change, the complete abolition of 99.9% of any impediment for women, whether driving or being able to work with no specific restrictions. So now I feel that the ball has shifted into the, it is the ball is in the court of women now for them to really get up. And I see that the logistical support for women inclusion is already there. The scaling up for more women to get involved will take time because it's a function of having sufficient number of women come into the labor force. And I am pleased actually to say that we have closed the mark of 1 million women joining the labor force. Let me just give you just an insight on the statistics. The total labor force of Saudi labor force is around 3.1 million. Of which 2018 females were around 600,000. Today we are 1.1 million. 34% of the Saudi labor force are females, and as of December 2019, we broke the 1 million mark for women in the labor force, and I think that's a great really achievement. Of course, much is yet to come, and it has to do with the overall transformation. The whole society is being transformed, economic, whether new economic sectors. I think I will stop right here. I've said much and give it back to you, Dr. Afnan.
Introduce our next guest, Moudhi Al Jamea, who is currently the Technology General Manager at STC Academy, Saudi telecom company, the first Saudi woman who occupies an executive position in the company and with such vast experience in cybersecurity and the digital economy. Prior to joining STC, Moudhi was a business president of the entrepreneurship unit and business incubator, as well as assistant professor in cybersecurity at Imam Abdurrahman bin Faisal University. Moudhi is considered to be one of the most leading Saudi experts in the computer security and digital field. She has a PhD in computer security, design from King's College London, and MSc in IT with e-business and the top industry ethical hacker certification in computer security. Moudhi was recently named by Forbes as one of the women defining the 21st century AI movement, and she is a member of the Forbes Middle East Tech Council. Before we move further, I think I skipped my line. I owe it to the chairman. Sorry, Haifa. I think I'll give the floor to you to ask the ladies question before we move along to Moudhi.
Actually, Afnan, on the contrary, please allow Moudhi to deliver her remarks and then we ask the questions. Please go ahead. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. It's actually a pleasure to be here and again to attend one of the Arab International Women Forum's events. It's a pleasure. I've been attending these events in London when I lived there for 7 years doing my PhD and master's. I can't say much after what Khlood talked about. I think the kingdom is going through a huge transformation. As a female who got a high degree in computer and security and algorithms, going back to the kingdom, I think the transformation that we're going through is an opportunity for every female to shine. I think the kingdom is driving a huge empowerment for females. I'm happy to be part of this change. Whatever we are doing as females, it's always contribute to this change. So thank you for giving us the opportunity to be here with you and to shed some lights on the great efforts that has been done.
I have a question for Khlood. You're one of the 3 Saudi women leaders appointed in 2020 to the board of directors of the CFA, which works to educate and inform investment decision makers, promote ethical standards in the industry, and assist financial professionals in career development. The CFA Society Saudi Arabia is working hard to develop the financial sector in Saudi Arabia as part of Vision 2030 and to highlight the important role of women in finance. What opportunities do you see ahead for Saudi women in finance, and how is the industry interacting with the educational system and with the government to collaborate to promote women's engagement and leadership in the sector? Khlood?
Thank you, Afnan. طبعا my story with the CFA, I was the first Saudi female to obtain my CFA in 2003. Back then we didn't have any society or anything, so I was part of the group that established it many years ago, and this year I was honored to be elected on the board. CFA Society is a great organization really focused on spreading knowledge in finance, and the role of women in finance has always been, or let me put it the other way, the financial sector has been the main supporter of women in the private sector in Saudi Arabia, the professional, let me say, jobs. Previously, women started employment by the government in healthcare and education and in basic jobs, while the banks or the financial sector, which was back then just dominated by banks in the 80s, actually started hiring women in branches and then head offices and etc. Because, as I said earlier, the financial sector really relies on technical skill and know-how in order for you to advance. And women have always been, I don't want to say smarter, but smart and diligent and kind of confined to working very hard. So many of my colleagues now that you see are heading banks or CFOs or Rania Nashar or Sarah Sahimi, these are all my colleagues in previous banks. We worked 20 years ago, many years ago. So the financial sector really has been a great teacher, incubator for women, and really in many cases gender blind. I think the second part of your question was, can you, لا بس you're on mute.
Oh.
يلا الحين سمعتك.
The second part of the question is, what are the opportunities you see ahead for Saudi women in finance, and how is the industry interacting with government, the educational system, to promote women engagement and leadership in the sector?
Excellent. Okay. طبعا, first of all, as my friend Moudhi said, the transformation has created humongous opportunities for men and women in particular, as they have been given priority by many government agencies for employment, for training, etc. This is one. So in all sectors, really, women find themselves, with these great opportunities. طبعا, you have the challenge of finding the right job with the right skill and all of that, but no longer do we have the segregation that was the was not promoting hiring women. The financial sector itself is going through, I don't want to say a revolution. I think the financial sector around the world with the fintech and fourth industrial revolution is in itself restructuring itself. The kingdom has launched one of its vision programs, which is the National Program for Development of the Financial Sector, which is a great program in order to, just really build up the financial sector to cope with the requirements of the 2030, which is huge in terms of funding, in terms of bringing new players into the market, in terms of elevating the financial literacy. So many additional parts of the financial ecosystem is coming into place. The establishment of the fixed income market, the derivatives market, the fintech market, and the list goes on and on. All of these, the CMA, the Capital Market Authority, and Tadawul are leaders in employment of women, reaching more than 20 to 30% in over a few years. So, I mean, needless to say, the chairman of the exchange is a female. So you really see women accelerating. The SAMA, the central bank, in 2013, they had one female and had the head office. Today, they have more than 140, and many of them are in senior positions. SAMA has also launched a specific program to accelerate women in leadership positions. The current governor is amazing and has done so much to support women. The list goes on and on in terms of enablers in the financial sector to promote women. So the financial sector itself is very lucrative as any person who's a player in the sector, and for women specifically. And I think you had mentioned about the financial sector and government support or education. Was there anything else I didn't address?
You have addressed it. If you can elaborate just a little bit more on how the government is collaborating with the private sector in empowering women into leadership positions within that sector.
Definitely. The government, the female file, I call it, was on the agenda since the transformation started, but maybe more focus came in January 2017, once we had the announcements of the first CEO of a bank, the first CEO of a chairman of a national committee or the exchange. Then the government started announcing positions for females. I remember the General Authority for the Aviation suddenly announced that they have so many positions and all for women. So I could talk about the role of the Chambers of Commerce, which is really a private sector setup to collaborate with the government. Recently, we've established the Committee for Female Empowerment, which I have been nominated to head. Although this committee was there in 2006, but it has been relaunched recently with an agenda to empower women by the government, obviously, to work with the government. Also, we have Ms. Hind Al-Zahid, an amazing woman who did a lot and was appointed with the position of a deputy minister for the empowerment of women in the civil sector. And this is the first official government position by a woman to cater for women. So there is government collaboration with the private sector to empower women is phenomenal. The point is now is we need to act. Women need to act. We need to be proactive. I always say the government establishes the framework, but the content is delivered by the private sector. So as we speak now, we are, I'm continuously lobbying with women to get up, stand up, participate. And, the doors are no longer closed. They're actually open. So I think I can stop here.
Thank you so much. Moudhi, in March 2020, you were named Women Defining the 21st Century AI Movement. Transformative, immersive, and virtual technologies have the potential to transform the participation of women in the economy. But STEM education needs to catch up first. How do you envisage universities and the private sector more effectively linking up to narrow the digital skills gap and get more women into technology education?
Thank you, Dr. Afnan. Well, to start with this, I would refer with what Ms. Haifa mentioned, that around 54 of females graduates, 54 of graduates in the kingdom are females. More than 50% are STEM. So I think delivering the concept of the importance of majoring in STEM, we don't have a challenge in that. A lot of females, they are in the direction of either studying artificial intelligence, cybersecurity, computer science. We have a lot of universities that introduce these new majors, and it's an important majors with high GPAs. So I think the challenge really, in my opinion, is not really working on them to get into the STEM as a field. However, what is worrying is that these number, big percentage, when they graduate, they don't work in jobs that's related to digital or technology. They switch to totally different career path that's not related to technology, and this is the problem. What we need to address is to introduce more opportunity, and this is what the kingdom is doing. If I take an example, the company I work in, we have a lot of focus on fresh graduates. We have a lot of focus on having equal opportunities for both male and female, and this is really what we are seeking to. But another thing is seeing more females leadership and leadership positions in technology. This is very important. For a female to be more ambitious and to get into a career that is related to technology, whether it's an artificial intelligence, cybersecurity, they need to see their career path. They need to see where they can go. We need to create more of role models in this matter. We need to have more females leading the technology field. So I don't think when we need to address this challenge in the kingdom specifically, it's not about an educational challenge, more of having more females in leadership positions, which will help a lot in creating the career path for a lot of other females to get into this. So one of the challenges that usually when you ask why don't we have more females in leadership positions in technology, most of the companies, they will get into the reasoning of, well, we don't have enough skills female who can be in executives or who can lead a technology in a company. And I think referring to what Ms. Khlood mentioned, Hind Zahid created a great initiative called Qiyadat, which is a platform killing all the reasons that any company can have. If you go to that platform, you will find a lot of qualified senior females CVs over there, where you can select the right female for any senior positions. So if you ask me about my opinion again, it's about introducing more senior females in leadership positions in STEM, in technology, not necessarily in universities working as an academic, not necessarily researchers in research institute. We need to see them in private sectors. We need to see them in public sectors, leading initiatives in technology. So having role models as simple as that will create a lot of I would say a lot of females, young females, getting into that field.
I think we can attract more women into the field of technology.
Sorry, I didn't hear the first part.
How can we attract more women to the field of technology?
Well, as I mentioned, creating more role models in leaders' positions. So if I'm a young female getting into a technology field, if I don't see my career path, well, this is where I'm getting. There is no ceiling to where I should be. I can have role models who are already there. I think this will help in encouraging females to get into technology.
I think now I'd like to start the Q&A session. I don't know if we've had any questions. Khlood, would you like to elaborate on what?
I have a question, Afnan. I have a question.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, first of all, I would like to comment on what Dr. Moudhi said. What you mentioned regarding showing where the leaders are, when business leaders are told, they say we do not have the women leaders. When you create a platform, this is outstanding. I recall very well in 2009 when we held the AIWF conference in France, hosted and invited by Madame Christine Lagarde when she was a Minister of the Economy, Labor and Finance. In her speech to us at the forum, she said she was always trying to promote to have more women on the boards of French companies. And whenever she spoke to chairmen of companies, they will say, but we don't know who they are, where they are, and we don't. So she decided to create a list of the women leaders. So whenever these conversations took place again, she was proud to show them the list. So I think this resonated in my mind, and I was reminded of it now when you spoke, Dr. Moudhi. I have a question to address to Dr. Afnan first. Dear Afnan, you have been a woman leader for many, many years. While this movement of empowerment took place in the kingdom, but even before this new wave of outstanding positive opportunities for women in the kingdom, you have worked abroad also on two important senior roles before returning to the kingdom. Could you share with us your journey also? Thank you.
Thank you, Haifa. It's a question with a very long answer, but I'm going to sum it up very briefly in respect of our speakers and in respect of our guests. I think Saudi Arabia this year has been a very remarkable year for Saudi Arabia. Since the announcement and the G20 and Saudi Arabia taking leadership of the G20, women have been on top of the agenda. It has also been the goals for Vision 2030. So women and empowering women is not something new, but this year has been a remarkable year for Saudi women. A lot has been going on. Going back to my journey, I think this is not new. Everything started decades ago, actually, by scholarships, educational scholarships by the government, who gave me and many other females the opportunity to study abroad and bring the experience back home and interact and learn more and more. So this scholarship, whenever I'm asked, this is something from my country. If there was no empowerment for women, I wouldn't be one of those lucky people. But moving forward, this scholarship gave me the opportunity to have a work experience while I was studying in the US. This work experience nominated me for my job in the UK, where I was appointed Secretary General and CEO of the Arab British Chamber of Commerce. This did not come by any nomination. This was a formal nomination from the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, nominating a woman for the first time in the history of the International Chambers of Commerce. I was the first female. I was the first Saudi to get that position. I was also honored to be nominated for 3 times. So I spent 3 terms in my job in the UK. Very proud, came back, also being appointed in a very senior position as Director General of the Ministry of Culture, dealing with international affairs. I can't say much because this topic is very passionate to me. My country has been very supportive, and I think all the ladies listening to us today, the 2 ladies with us, Moudhi and Khlood, agree. If it wasn't the empowerment, if it wasn't the support from the top leadership, from the society, from all the organizations, there were some hiccups here and there, but I think these hiccups made us stronger, put us where we are today, and I hope we can be a good example, inspiration for all the younger ladies in the future.
Thank you. I have a question also for Khlood. Khlood, you are working at the heart of the business sector in the kingdom, and we always hear about the importance of the large family businesses in the kingdom as well as in other GCC countries. Can you please elaborate on the role of women in the family businesses in the kingdom? And also, how do you see the public-private partnership collaboration in fostering a greater economy and a stronger economy in the kingdom?
Thank you very much. 2 different questions, but wonderful. Okay, so the first question about women's role in family businesses. Let me step back a little bit and talk about gender data. This is something new. Previously, I was the president of the National Committee for Statistics, actually, in the Council of Chamber, and I realized that the kingdom is going through a statistical transformation in statistics, actually, and in data. And as many of the other countries, as we go online. So one topic we started to talk about is gender data. So this is a very new thing that we've been talking about in the past just few years, and we started to see a certain, like for example, the central bank publishes some statistics that segregate between gender-based. Some of the it's still not well developed, but we're working on it. So we do have weakness in data in general and gender data specifically, but it's a dialogue that's ongoing now. And I don't see any impediment other than we just need to work on it. Honestly, this is one. The second thing is in terms of family businesses and women participating. I think that the role of women, first of all, women equally as men, a lot of them are, owners in their businesses from inheritance, etc. However, I think that the women that are involved are extremely, very, very, very low number. And I just talk about my experience being a businesswoman, seeing the other leaders who are actively involved in their family businesses. It is, I can't even put a number to it. I wouldn't be surprised if it is less than 1%. Now, in terms of commercial registrations, we have around 1 million commercial registrations, of which female-owned are 12% only. So that's 134,000, something like that. So the numbers are still very, very shy, but they are mushrooming now in terms of ownership. In terms of women involvement and engagement in the work, it's really a function of the family businesses, corporate governance, her skill, and the dynamics of the family. We in the Chamber of Commerce, for example, I am overlooking an initiative to get more women involved and active in the family businesses. So that's one of the files we're going to work on, inshallah, very recent, which includes raising awareness on how to, involve your females into the business as a stepping stone. So we're working on that. It's a very exciting area. The second question, which is how important is I think public-private participation for the transformation, I guess. The Saudi economy is built by the government. The government is the largest supplier, the largest customer, etc., etc. Complete reliance on oil. This is previously, and this is the reason why the transformation started. The transformation started to shift completely the economy and base it on diversification, and which will come by actually growing the private sector to be the second part that helps us in this diversification. One of the core tools is privatization, obviously, and which is one method of private-public participation. So private-public participation, there is the economic theory and there is on-the-ground actual dynamics. The actual dynamics has been, I could talk about the experience of the Council of Chambers and the Chambers of Commerce, which is the official body to represent the private sector in front of the government. This has become so strong and so dynamic that we were able to actually participate in policy making and really affecting the transformation in a faster way. And I think the best is yet to come. We have we are seeing now several government committees which for the first time have a permanent appointments of private sector members. So this has become the new method of operation for the government, as we call tasharukiya, which is participation. And needless to say, most of the ministers were ex-private sector, people. So.
Thank you. Dr. Moudhi, a question and then return the floor, if I may, to Dr. Afnan. Moudhi, you are, an example, a role model to follow for women in STEM, for women in science, not only in the region, globally. Many congratulations on what you have achieved. Really, of course, Dr. Khlood also in her own area, but you are a scientist, you are in cybersecurity, you are things we're beginning to learn more and more about this year. So I have two questions for you. One of them is related actually to this year. This year has thrown us all in the world straight into the future in the sense of using the technology, working with the technology, studying the technology. So I would like your input on that as a scientist and also from within the viewpoint of the kingdom. Saudi Arabia. And my second question is, you're such a role model for many other Saudi women in tech. How do you see the environment for fostering that important talent amongst Saudi women? Please. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Haifa. I think, as you said, COVID-19 pushed us to the future. Any company who thought that digital transformation is a complementary project and they did not act on it, I think they regret it right now. As you said, we've been studying online, working online, doing meeting virtually, events virtually. Everything is online. It was a big challenge. I think the percentage of demand on e-learning or learning environment online increased 1,000%, or the gaming increased a lot. So COVID-19 gave us an amazing lesson onto the importance of technology on all aspects. I think globally, whoever did not have a stable, strong infrastructure, I think they suffered. The kingdom invested 3 years ago. If we had this situation 3-4 years ago, we would struggle as a kingdom because of the infrastructure. The kingdom invested heavily on the infrastructure. We have the fastest connectivity, one of the top fastest connectivity in the world. I think the transformation that we are going through and the vision focused on so many aspects. The women empowerment is an important aspect. However, the digital transformation, the infrastructure is an important aspect as well. Working full capacity, the kingdom full capacity, from learning, healthcare, working, gaming. The gaming was increased, and being secure and being comfortable while doing these is an achievement for us. However, with every crisis comes some opportunities. There are a lot of digital opportunities that appears, and I think females should look at these opportunities from a business perspective. Now, it's very challenging, to going and working into business and technology. As you say, as I said, females in the kingdom, skills perspective, education, we don't have a problem. However, if we look at the number of females in STEM or in technology globally, let me talk about cybersecurity, for example. It's less than 20%, the female representation globally. So it's very challenging for females to excel in this. But if we focus with the right empowerment from the government, with the right opportunities, with the right start and planning, I think there are a lot of opportunities. COVID-19 introduced us to the future with so many opportunities in digital. I think I addressed the questions.
Unmute yourself, Afnan.
You're mute.
That's it. Yeah.
I have a question from one of the audience. This question is for Khlood. Is there government support for entrepreneurs?
Absolutely. The transformation has brought a whole Hay'a Kamla agency, which is the SME agency, with its core mandate is to support entrepreneurs, and much focus is on women than men, actually. So the answer is absolutely yes.
Moreover, how can these women, with the government support, reach leadership positions?
Excellent. I like that question. Okay, so it's it's easy to complain and say, this is not possible, we are not hired, etc., which is like everyone in a position always seeks for support from the employer. I say it's a two-way approach, a bottom-up approach and a top-down approach. The top-down approach, which is to lobby directly with decision makers, which is something that myself, I'm doing, and many other women who are already in leadership positions, by saying outright, we need more women to be with us in these meetings, we need more women to be there. To be honest, I see visibly the level of, the amount of women being hired from senior positions or the decision to do so. However, I also feel the urgency of other matters to transform the country, where it makes the issue of hiring women in leadership position a secondary issue. And this is my job, I feel. My secondary job is to continue to lobby and show more how important it is to prioritize now pushing women into leadership positions, that they will be enablers for other productivity, really, among men and women. And I've always said that the impact of women in leadership position is completely understated and unknown, which I think will have its own significant transformation in the economy. Now, the bottom-up approach is which is the more effective, is for women to invest in themselves and in their skills and to mentally act as leaders. Now, we do have a huge problem in the quality of education and skills that is not going to come overnight just because we have launched a plan. This has always been the case for many years. We have now a great Minister of Education who has started the journey of significant transformation, which will take 5 to 10 years to get more skills. However, that said, the available venues for knowledge, given the social media, the technology, what we have now, and the methodology of receiving, information, you can completely self-develop yourself in terms of leadership skills, of knowledge. So what can women do? Study more, educate themselves, and participate and proactively get engaged and involved in a bigger cause than their job. If you go to your job every day and just do your 9 to 5, and to you have delivered your job, then you will not escalate even within your organization. If you are involved in the community, if you participate, and today our problem is too much information and too much engagement. So if you want to become a leader, don't wait for someone to hire you. Act, invest, invest in yourself, get the knowledge that a leader needs, and act like a leader and proactively participate, and you will find, and you will be recognized. Thank you.
Thank you, Khlood. The next question is from Moudhi. What can women do to make an impact and work forward to a leadership position? I can see that all the questions are moving towards leadership positions. How can we be empowered to get there?
Well, let me speak from an experience. I think what Khlood just mentioned is very, very important. Let me speak from a technology person. Usually when they need you, and I was speaking about this in one of the events, Women in Cybersecurity. For a technical person to be an executive or to be seen as executives, they need to act like an executive. If you keep on speaking the technical language and you lack the skills of communication and presentation and executive presence, let me put it this way, no one is going to look at you this way. It's important to show your technical skills, your knowledge, but if you are seeking a leadership positions, you need to be a leader. You need to be more strategic. You need to have less technicality and more strategic thinking. There are, what we do at STC Academy, for examples, we design programs for executives to have the digital and technology skills and the digital technology knowledge, sorry, not skills, knowledge. So everyone now is speaking technology language, and a lot of executives knows what's happening in the technology field. So, but if you want to be seen again as an executive and as a leader, you need to act like one. You need to present yourself as a strategic thinker, as someone who's going to draw the roadmap for the technology at the company, not only implementing it. So it's and this is a challenge really. And believe it or not, it's not just a women or female challenge. It's a technology challenge. We are actually working on the technical people right now in the company to develop them into to become leaders, because as a technical person, you always work with computer, you always work with devices. So sometimes people, they lack the communication skills, they lack the broader way of thinking and thinking outside of the box and being innovative. So really, as Khlood mentioned, if you want to be a leader, you need to act like a leader in order for them to see you. And not to categorize you as someone who will implement and a technical person. And that's from a technology perspective.
Less than 5 minutes to go. Just elaboration. Are there any soft skills that women need to develop to reach a better position? And if you can please sum it up, I'd like to hear from you, Moudhi, and from Khlood, because I have one question after that, and then I'll leave the floor to our
soft skills, as I mentioned, the presence, executive presence, the communication, the strategic thinking, it's very important. If you act as a leader, they will see you as a leader.
Okay, can you hear me? Okay. So I would say transformation. We are living a transformation of a country, not just an economy, social, economic. Just the transformation is combined with COVID and technology, which is an international phenomena, has really changed us as people on a daily basis. So I would say you have to be committed to completely transform yourself to the better person you are. And number one, and embark on a boot camp strategy in order to deliver, which will include aggressive knowledge, because really it's a new country, new knowledge. So you have to, as I tell a lot of the people I mentor, you have to be your own teacher with the most aggressive agenda to retrain yourself every day until we pass this period or we plateau, because we are at the bottom now, because things are completely different. So you have to, I mean, soft skills is something I heard 10 years ago, you know, learn how to do PowerPoint presentation, learn how to speak. Now it is actually hardcore knowledge, survival. And disciplines are, you know, combined, and business models have changed completely. I mean, we have telecommunication companies that are turning into banks. We have banks that are turning into something else. I really don't know. So you have to be so resilient for change, yet completely invest in new knowledge in yourself. I leave it at that.
And this is, I would like you to sum it up in a minute or less. Recently, men are complaining that women are racing towards and succeeding into reaching leadership positions. I'd love to hear from you. A minute or less. Khlood.
Oh God. Well, yes, they are complaining. They should complain. But to manage their expectations, I told them, I will lobby for 2 years aggressively for women. This is an infant industry that has to be protected. And it's a matter of policy. And then once we stabilize and once we have enough women, I'll give you just one example. In the board of directors of the Riyadh Chamber, we had one committee called the Women Business Committee. They wanted to cancel it. And I told them, until the board is 50% women, then we will cancel it. So it's the complaint is natural, and I see it's normal actually, because they're moving out of their comfort zone. But we need to have a strong and straight message. And for me is to bring the balance back, the balance of opportunity back, and then we will support equally the men.
If I may add to this, you remind me, STC actually started hiring female in 2016. And as a first executive with them, I proposed the Women Council, and I remember getting questions that, oh my God, females are gonna get our jobs now, and yeah, I need a lot of drama. So I told them, really, this is not what we are looking for. We're looking for fair opportunity, balance. And what I wish for is to put the female in the right position. If we empower the wrong female, it will fire back. So doing it the right way is the best way. So they should not worry. They took their time.
If I may just say, I don't think we're competing with men. I think we're competing to secure a position. And this is a result of the credibility that women have, education, experience. So I think it's an equal opportunity, whether you're a male or you're a female. I think it's way overdue. Women are doing an amazing job. I do think we should be in the right position. I think we're moving towards that. As Khlood mentioned, it just needs to be stabilized and everybody will be happy, and this will be something normal and acceptable to every man and woman. So thank you very much. I hand over to our chairman. Thank you, Moudhi. Thank you, Khlood. This has been an amazing discussion. I hope we can move forward onto this. And thank you again to our chairman. Haifa, please, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you, Afnan. Thank you, Afnan, for an outstanding leadership of the webinar. It's an honor and a pleasure to welcome such outstanding speakers from the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. And I just wanted to add one point regarding the last question about the men complaining. It's about a partnership. This is how we were talking about from the beginning when we set up the Arab International Women's Forum. We're not there to take anybody's job. We're there to work together as partners at home, in the family, in society, in the private sector, in all fields, because this is how we can communities serve to build a better future. Thank you really for sharing with us the excellent news, the brilliant really measures taking place in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Both all of you are ambassadors, excellent ambassadors for what's going on, and truly you make us even appreciate more all that we are reading about and learning about and hearing about what's happening in the kingdom in terms of the empowerment of women. We've seen a lot of that also during the G20 summit and the focus of the Saudi government on the role of women. But having you with us today in our concluding webinar for 2020 has really enriched us and inspired us all. You have given us better hope, inshallah, for a 2021 that will be peaceful, healthy, and prosperous, inshallah, for the whole world as we move beyond the COVID-19 to building forward, actually, our communities and our societies with women at the center. So thank you again very much, Afnan, Khlood, and Moudhi. Thank you.
Thank you, Haifa, very much. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.